Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started right now. Everybody has the option to unmute and mute themselves. So out of respect, keep yourself muted unless you have any questions. So excited to be able to share and be a part of this concept called the Power Hour. And for those that know that are part of Casey Salgi's organization, this is something that they've been running highly aggressively over the last couple of months, I believe, starting back in October. And they're having massive success. I know Karen is a big part of that. And so I'm grateful because I got a chance to sit down with Casey Salgi at a convention at Grant Cardone's GrowthCon. And we spent a couple hours going over what he's been implementing. And I said, this is genius. I want to be a part of it. And I want to implement this within my group. So every Saturday from 10 to 11, I'm going to be responsible for doing a power hour for the next, I would say, at least 90 days. And then Casey is going to be running his power hour Monday and Thursday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the only week that we are not going to do it is this upcoming week. And the reason is in Houston, we have Mark Davenport that's going to be in town with James Bradford on Monday. Thursday, we will be at ILA Convention. And Saturday, we will be at ILA Convention. So outside of this coming week, every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. is going to be a power hour hosted by Casey Salgi. And then Saturday mornings, 10 to 11 a.m. will be the power hour hosted by me. And so I know this might be redundant for those that are in Casey's group, but, I obviously have my group in here, and this is our very first one. And so what we do and what Casey does is he has the ability to open up with a Q&A, question and answer. And so these are things that you're running into in your business or anything you want to ask that's pertaining to our business and pertaining to Kyani. You have the ability to ask those questions, and this is where we take the gloves off. This is where we're just transparent. And kind of my focus and Casey's focus is we want to be able to develop and teach you guys every single week on the skills and fundamentals you need to grow a successful business. And then on top of that, making sure that you have the ability to ask questions that you're running into on a day-to-day basis that pertain to your business and what's happening on there in the field. And then I also know that both Casey and me independently, we're going to be running our own, Casey calls it his summit program. And for those that are in my organization, to kind of give you an idea of what they did, is they did a 50-day summit program where Casey, for 50 days straight, selected a group of individuals, and from 10 to 11 p.m., he had an accountability program with them for 50 days straight where they went over training, they accounted numbers. There's a spreadsheet that he provided where people could start tracking their activities. And this is ultimately the thing that we're going to also implement in my organization is on March 12th, we're going to start my own as well. And so that's independent of Casey's, but they're going to be running parallel with each other. It's just Casey's going to host his own, and I'm going to be able to host my own. And the whole purpose of this is we are identifying and we are developing the new layer of leadership. There's so many exciting things that you guys know that have happened in February. The amount of promotion and the changes that Kyani had were freaking phenomenal. I know Casey's organization popped multiple sapphires, new car qualifiers. My organization last month alone, my group in Chicago, Nashville, Tennessee, was able to promote a new diamond, a new emerald, 2 rubies, and 7 sapphires just last month alone. And so we are experiencing massive growth right now. And so we want to get everybody together and really focus on how to grow this business, how to develop a new layer of leadership. And then once again, if you are I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody now, and then you have the ability to unmute yourself if you have questions. That way we're not getting feedback. So that's kind of the framework. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. That's what we wanted to do to be able to kind of get things kicked off, is just give you an outline of what we have to look forward to. So like I said, Monday, Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m., Casey's Power Hour. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11 is my Power Hour. And this is something you want to commit to if possible, right? Because the more that you commit to it, the more that you can put time and invest in it, that's going to allow you to grow your business successfully. And so what I want to do right now is I just want to go over, and if anybody has any questions, I want to keep the same structure that Casey has. And, I know for my group that, this might be putting you on the spot. You're like, damn, I don't know. I didn't know we were going to have questions and answers, right? So maybe you don't have any questions, and that's okay. But even Casey's group, if there's any questions that you guys have, you're more than happy to just unmute yourself, go ahead and start asking those questions. And I want to start off by answering any questions that you're experiencing in the field. And then what we can do is we can go into the training that I'm going to go over for about 25, 30 minutes. And then we will end with some more question and answers that you can ask based on the information that you've got. And we'll go from there. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than happy to unmute yourself and just go ahead and come forward and ask. Here's what I want to challenge you is if you are thinking anything to ask, just freaking unmute yourself and ask, okay? Because I can tell you from experience, guys, and for those that don't know, in Casey's organization, I'm a diamond. I'm a multiple six-figure earner in Kyani, been involved in Kyani for 28 months. I'm not going to go into my story. That's not the purpose of this, but at least that way you have and understand that, I've been in this industry. I've gone through the ups and downs, and I can tell you from personal experience, even going up to the school system, I was the type of student where if they said, hey, anybody have questions, I'd be thinking in my head, talking to myself like, damn, I want to ask that question. I want to ask that question. And I would never ask it because I was introverted and I didn't like people to think that I was stupid. I mean, it was really a real thing for me. And so I never asked questions. And I look at that back from who I am today and who I was back then. And I think, how crazy is that you can feel this cloud of insecurity to the point where you won't even step forward to ask a question, even though someone's asking you to ask questions, right? So if you're thinking in your head right now, any questions that you want to have. And another thing that I want to, just frame this up is during Power Hour, guys, I want, and for this one, I'm going to be a little lenient, but I want to make sure everybody has their video on and your video needs to show you. Okay. And I know this may be something where you're looking at that and say, dang, I'm half dressed. Maybe I'm listening to this in the background. I know Jill is a superstar right now. She's got her kid, and she's just juggling all sorts of things, but that's the beauty of this. But here's the reality. Is because we are not going to have a hotel system, because we are not going to have so much get together in person, the best way to build this business, if we're going to do it online, is to make sure that you have this personal interaction by having your video. And another thing is, if you're uncomfortable with having your face on video, I want to help you break that, because we can build and create a fortune doing this business online. And I can tell you, being in front of videos, shooting videos, recording yourself is not comfortable. And if you know who I am, I'm okay and I'm very competent with doing public speaking. But the funny thing is, I hate recording videos because there's some type of insecurity that I have. And so by doing this, by making sure on these video conferences, you're facing me, you're showing me a face. Number one, it lets me know that you're engaged. Number two, it lets you be in a position where you can start getting comfortable seeing yourself in front of a camera. You can start getting comfortable with seeing yourself so that we can start really focusing on building this online. And if you're driving, be safe. Okay. I'm not saying, you like hold the phone and drive, I don't want any accidents, right? So moving forward, let's make sure that we're in a place where we can focus and a place that we can pay attention. And that's kind of a takeaway that I want everybody to have is in life, I've learned that the biggest problem that people have is most of the time, wherever they are, they're not 100% mentally there. They may be physically there, but they're not paying attention, right? And I know this on so many occasions, and maybe you could relate. I know in my relationship, my lady would be having a conversation with me and I'm thinking about something else. And then she goes through her spiel of what she told me. And I'm like, huh, what did you say? And then she gets pissed off at me because I really wasn't paying attention, even though we're sitting right next to each other, right? Or maybe you've gone to a business convention, or maybe you've gone to an event and you're at the event, but you're texting or you're thinking about problems at work or you're thinking about this. And then you go through the routines and you go through the motion, but then you come to realize like, man, I didn't really learn anything. Right? I can also tell you, maybe you can relate to this in school. I know when I was in college at University of Texas at Austin, we'd have these classes of like 80, 100 people. And I used to be, addicted. And I came up in the world, in the community of playing poker. And that's when online poker was a big deal for me. And I was making income as a college student, thinking I was killing the world, making like $4 or $5 grand a month. And all I would do is I would think, I can go to class and play poker at the same time online. And then I would go through an hour and a half class playing poker online. And I think to myself, man, I didn't even learn a dang thing, right? So the biggest thing is wherever you are, mentally commit and be there. Eliminate distractions for 1 hour. Focus. Give me your attention. Give us the attention. And I'm telling you, by doing that, you're going to absorb more. You're going to become more competent. You're going to get better. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Awesome. We've got Gita Godwin. I hopefully said that right. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Did I say that right?
It's Goodwin. Like good.
Okay. Gita was your first name correctly?
Yes, that's awesome. You got it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that all of these sessions will be available online afterwards. That you will have the recording, so we can go over it and make even more notes.
Absolutely. Thank you for covering that. Yes. So what I will do, in Casey's group know this, there's a link that has the schedule, and then it has every single power hour that we will do. So Casey's already archived the last several months of this. And so I will provide that link in the chat, or, once again, maybe Karen, if you have that, just because you're more awesome. So Karen, I just already know, I've watched Casey's stuff and I see how much Karen's involved, and she's, like the back end handling all the spreadsheets, and I love it. So I appreciate that, Karen. So yes, that will be provided, and you can always reference that. And obviously, if people are not able to attend, those videos will always be uploaded, always be available to be able to go back and refer and go over that. So great question. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Spencer.
All right. Anybody else? I think Tyler is unmuted. So Tyler, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Great. I appreciate you having a question.
Yes, sir. I just had in regards, like, say 12 months ago, on your road to being a diamond, what did an average day look like for you?
Great question. So I'll be upfront with you. So like I shared, I had experience in the industry of network marketing. I had probably dabbled in the industry for about 5 years in a different company, but I never had big success. So the reason was, there are a lot of different reasons. I mean, the services and the things that we were offering, I didn't believe in. So when I got started in the Kyani, it was really my first year that I was highly aggressive. And so the day-to-day, and the reason I say that is because a year ago, a lot of personal things were happening in my life, and I wasn't as engaged in Kyani my second year as I was my first year. But the great thing is, because I went so hard my first year, the momentum and the things that I had developed were able to carry me, where my residual income over the last year has still been amazing. It's been freaking phenomenal, but I didn't hit it as hard as I did the first year. And that's the beauty that you guys, and that's another takeaway that you can take from this question, is that in our business, when you can focus for 90 days to 120 days and get a leadership group growing and get momentum growing, that can continue to last for years on end if you do it correctly. So the day-to-day that I had when I first got started was this. One, I didn't have much going on. I mean, I wasn't juggling any other business. I had a pretty open schedule. And so my focus of my DMO was, when I first started my first month, I made sure that every day I was introducing the business to at least 10 to 20 people a day. And when I say introducing, it doesn't mean pitching them per se. Yes, I was in the concept of pitching them, but I would make sure that every day, because I had a lot of free time, 10 to 20 people, I was peaking, right? Or I was building rapport. And so if you went and saw my Facebook Messenger, or you saw my phone, I was literally connecting with 15 to 20 people a day, whether that was building rapport, whether that was piquing their interest, whether that was passing them over to James Bradford, or passing them over to my upline and getting presentations set up. And so what I did is, we didn't have this online system that you're taking a look at. And so I had my first home meeting, and I had about 10, 15 people there. And we got about 7 to 10 people started out of that. And then from those 7 to 10, I sat down with them, and then I did the exact same thing. I said, hey guys, if all of us, 7 to 10 of us plus me, we make sure that we peak 15 to 20 or build rapport, or, present the opportunity to 15, 20 people a day collectively, I mean, we would have almost 100, potential exposures happening per day just from this core. And we ran with that for our first 30 to 60 days. And so we were doing back to back to back to back presentations aggressively. And from that, I went diamond in 5 months. And from then, the momentum carried off, and we had a system to where people were plugging into the trainings. So kind of, if I had to outline it specifically, is I was on a grueling schedule. From 6 to 8 a.m., I do my routines. Okay, that's getting up, making my bed, something so simple as making your bed every day. I used to not do that, but one of my mentors taught me. He said, Spencer, if you can't make your bed every freaking day, he says, what makes you think you're going to have the ability to run a big business? And I was like, damn, that's like a slap in the face. But think about it. How true is that? Like, if you can't make your bed, how do you think you're going to run a multi-million-dollar company, right? And so I would do my routines, make my bed, go through taking a shower. I would listen to personal development, whether I was doing it while taking a shower, or I was more focused for about 30 minutes. And then from there, from about 9 to 12, I was banging out phone calls. I was literally banging out phone calls every single, every minute of every hour. Just, hey, who can I do? Who can I get in contact with? Who can I message? Who can I do this? And I'd be logging it. That was the most important thing. You can do the activities, but if you're not tracking your activities, then you're going to get so caught up, a week from today, not realizing how much you did and not knowing where it fell. And a big part of this business is following up and understanding and having the awareness to be able to touch people at certain times and based on where they are at. And so from 9 to 12, I'd be literally exposing in any way I could. And then from 1 to about 7 p.m., I was actually doing presentations, whether that was online presentations, whether that was sitting and meeting people at Starbucks and doing that. And then really from 8 to 10, I was literally training, right? I was developing my new layer of leadership, having personal phone conversations, developing people. So I want to just tackle something because I know the first thing that's going to come to mind when I start saying that about my schedule is everybody's like, well, shit, you had, excuse my French, I'm a very blunt person. You're like, well, you had all day to build your business, right? I don't have that. I have a job. I've got a family. I've got kids. I've got, this, da-da-da-da-da, and I understand that. And so what I can share with you to be able to do what I said is you have to be willing to make a sacrifice based on your circumstance. See, I was in a position where I had made money before. It wasn't like I had never made money. So the reason I tell people I wasn't a 5-month diamond, I was a 5-year diamond is because I had paid my dues somewhere else. And thankfully enough, because I paid my dues somewhere else, I had the freedom when I found this company to have that flex schedule to be able to hit it aggressively. So if you have a job, if you have kids, here's what you have to understand and you have to do. You have to be very intentional about your agenda and your schedule and say, where do I really have time to do Kyani? If you run a 9 to 5 and you have 6 to 8 Monday through Friday, and that's the only time you have 2 hours a day, then 6 to 8 needs to be outlined with what you need to do and how you're going to do it. And you have to execute those 2 hours effectively. Because here's the reality is most people, when they have too much time, they're actually not as efficient. And that can seem contradictory, but this comes from a gentleman named Darren Hardy, publisher and CEO of Success Magazine. And he says, if you want something done in a company, you always give it to the busiest person. Why? Because the busiest person knows that if they only have 20 to 30 minutes of a window of opportunity to get something done, they're going to do it. But if you give the same task to someone that has 5 hours, what do? We lollygag, we procrastinate, we put it off to the side. We say, oh, we can do this, or we try to half-ass it by doing it while we're working out or doing it while we're doing something else, and we're not that efficient. And so that's kind of how my day-to-day looked. But if you're brand new and the focus for you is having your list of contacts every single day, touching that list by building rapport, piquing their interest, and passing them over to have someone present to them. And the reason that's so overlooked is because people don't understand the power of compounding, okay? I can give you a visual representation. If you double a penny every day for 30 days, it's worth several millions of dollars, okay? Starting at 1 cent to 2 cents, etc. But if you double a penny every other day for 30 days, it doesn't even break, I believe, 10 grand. So think about that in perspective, what consistency does. Same thing for working out. If you work out 2 times a week, example, let's say you work out every day for 30 minutes, or maybe 6 days out of the week, 5 days out of the week, let's just say 5 days out of the week for 30 minutes, right, is essentially going to be 30 times 5, 150 minutes, whatever that equates into hours. Or you could work out 150 minutes on one day, take the next 6 days off, work out 150 minutes on the next day, take 6 days off. Which one is going to be more effective? It's going to be the one where you're doing 30 minutes a day, 5 days out of the week, because it's a consistency factor, right? So same thing in our business. It's not about the amount and quota that you're doing. Like if you're saying, hey, I want to talk to and get through a 200 contact, it's not about doing those 200 contacts in one day. It's about doing those 200 contacts consistently, whether it's 10 a day for 20 days or 20 a day for 10 days, and continuing to do that day in and day out, because what starts happening is you get in a rhythm and you start getting muscle memory and you start getting and understanding how this business works. And this business is about personal touch. And the thing is, if you are trying to knock out 200 people in one day, I know you're not having personal conversations with your people. But if you're just building rapport, 10 people a day, and you continue to touch them here and there, then you start having that personal touch. And the truth is, people can spot a phony a mile away. And so when you start being more genuine and when you start having those personal conversations, that's what's going to allow you to be able to find their hot buttons, find out what really could allow them to want this company and allow them why this company could benefit them. And this is another takeaway that you can take, and that's why I love Q&A, is if you have the mentality and you're nervous about approaching your contacts, okay, which I've been there. I remember when I got started, I'm like, dang, I don't know how to approach my contacts. I'm worried about what they're going to think about me. I'm worried about what they're going to think about the industry. And then what I realized, and this was an aha moment, when a trainer, a seven-figure earner says, when you're having that feeling, you're having that feeling because you are worried about yourself. You're worried about your rank advancement. You're worried about you making money. You're worried about what you can gain. But when you shift your focus and you think about, why did you get involved in network marketing? Why did you get involved in this company? I know why I got involved, and you want to, write your whys down. I got involved because I wanted a better quality of life. I wanted to be able to retire my mom. I loved this product, so I wanted to be able to impact people's health, and I wanted to be able to build a business that was allow me to have time flexibility and my schedule to be able to do other things that I do, right? That was why I got involved in this business. So if I know that is truly why I got involved in this business, that is what I'm sharing with people for them to get a chance to get involved in too. And so if that is my intention, then I'm doing people a service, right? I'm doing people a favor, because most people, 95% of the world today is at a job that they hate. 95% of the world today is struggling paycheck to paycheck. 95% of the world today is not fulfilled with a purpose and an environment around people that is going to be conducive to them feeling better. And 95% of the people today are not happy with their life. And so if we know that, even though you may look up to these people, even though the people that you're pitching, you might think they have this quality of life, you cannot believe what you see on social media. I will tell you, 90% of the stuff you see on social media is not really what's happening in people's lives. It is, I was literally about to go off and drop a bomb there, but 90% of the stuff that you see is not what's really happening. And so you have to look at that and say, when I'm reaching out to the people to show them this business, to show them this product, I'm doing it because I'm offering them such a good value proposition. And when you have that mindset, you're doing people a favor. It was like an aha moment for me to where I wasn't scared to share it with anybody. And then on top of that, I wasn't scared to think what they thought. Does that make sense? So I know that started with what was my day to day, and then it just kind of went into these things, but that's kind of how I work, and you guys are going to learn that about me. So hopefully that answered your question.
It did. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Tyler. Awesome. Ms. Goodwin, again, I believe you have another question, or is that just because it was the same hand? Perfect. Okay. So so great quick Q&A. Awesome, guys. So that's how we're going to start every power hour. And the link, Karen, thank you again for providing that. That's the link, guys, that's available in the chat. Bookmark that, save that, because that's going to have the schedule. And that's going to have every power hour archive that you can go back and reference if anybody wasn't able to make it. And this is open to everybody. This is open to any business partner that's in Kyani, in Team Fusion. It does not matter. This is going to be our open power source. And this is something that we're so excited about. So moving into it, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go over training and fundamentals, okay? Here's the thing and it kind of led in with Tyler's question. I kind of went into it. Ultimately, and I don't necessarily always like to talk about this, but it is so important, but it is so overlooked, and it sounds so cookie cutter that sometimes I hate it. But you got to look at yourself and your life and what you're doing and say, why the hell do I want Kyani to work? Why do you want this to work? Okay, because the reason you have to identify that and wholeheartedly look at it is because if you don't really want it, you will never get uncomfortable to be able to have it. And that's just the reality. Like, if you've ever wanted to get in shape, but you really didn't believe that you could get in shape, what happened? You committed for maybe a week, 2 weeks, you hit the diet for 3-4 days, and then next thing you know, you're binge eating, you're eating the heavy things again, and you didn't follow through with it. See, commitment is such a overlooked word in our society today, and this comes from generational thinking. This comes from the education system over time. But commitment is something today that is so overlooked because people believe that they can tell people one thing and then they don't do something else. And so you got to identify your why. But I want to go more into this in depth. Is your why and what you believe in is a big reason and a determining factor of how you're going to execute your daily activities to do this business. And I remember getting involved in this industry and being so happy that I had the ability to dream again, right? Because I had lost that dream. I had to, I was in college. I was like, dude, I'm going to settle. I'm going to get a job, make $60,000 a year. And hopefully I'd dedicate and slave myself away to this job and eventually make it to six figures. And then if I get to six figures, maybe I'll make more money and I'll figure life out and I'll invest and make more money, blah, 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 right? That was kind of just like I was going through the motions. And when I remember, they would say, dude, you got to have this burning desire, this why, and you got to write it down and visualize it every day. And I did it, but I'll be honest. I didn't even believe I would get it, right? Like they'd be like, you need this why? I'm like, I'm going to retire my mom. I'm going to drive a Lamborghini. I'm going to have this car. I'm going to make all this money, right? And I would write that down, and then I would look at it and be like, damn, I don't know if I really believe that. I don't know if I really believe that. And so the tie-in is, yes, you got to have a why, but here's what I want to do is your why and your ability to believe in that why is going to come from your self-identity, okay? And this is a takeaway that I want you to have, okay? How do you see yourself? What do you believe about yourself? What do you tell yourself? Because whatever you have as your identity, here's what I've learned. You will never get more out of your life than what you think you're worthy of or what you think that you deserve. Meaning that if you don't think you deserve a lot or you don't think you're worthy of having a lot, you will never get more than that. And so when you look at this, self-confidence comes from your self-worth, and which ultimately is your identity. And your identity is the way you view yourself. And so an analogy that I give that is really striking to me that helped me tremendously is your identity is like the thermostat in a room. And the thermostat in a room, if you think about it, it has a set temperature, right? It has a set temperature. And here's what I tell people is like, your identity is a set temperature of your life. And what we do is as we go through life, there's circumstances that we have that we experience that raise sometimes the temperature in our life. So like as an example, maybe your thermostat is set as a 75, and this could be in all areas. It could be in business, it could be a relationship, it could be in health, it could be in fitness, it could be in disciplines, it could be whatever. But let's say your default temperature is set at 75, and then you start having circumstances in your life that maybe raise the temperature of your life, which in this case, the raise of temperature is positive things, the down in temperature is negative things, but you might have it in situations in your life that raise the temperature, right? Maybe it's like you get involved in a business, or you go to a business conference, or you read a book, or you're on this webinar, and right now the temperature of your life is kind of going upwards. But then what starts happening is if you don't have self-confidence, self-worth, and true identity of yourself, after this is all said and done, 2 days, 3 days, you're going to do what you do at your house. If your thermostat is set at 70 and your temperature in your house is at 80, 85, you start unconsciously, the AC kicks in and starts bringing the temperature back down to the default. And so the reason I say that is you set the thermostat of your life based on your conditions and what you want. And so this is also on the reverse case. Have you ever had it in your life where things are going terrible? Car accident, right? You're broke or whatever, but you still always find a way to get to your default temperature, which is your survival, right? You always find a way to eat. You always find a way to do the basic things that you've been doing your entire life. And then you default back up to that idle thermostat temperature. And so the next question that we would ask is, how do we raise the natural thermostat of our life, right? That's what everybody would want to know. Like if we're at a 70-degree thermostat in our life, how do we get to an 80? How do we get to a 90? How do we get to 100 where we're operating on a high level every single day? Here's how you do that, okay? You do it through preparation. You do it because here's the thing. You have to understand that you have to raise your self-confidence. And how do you raise that self-confidence? Guys, I can tell you, I was not a confident person growing up. I wasn't confident with women. I wasn't confident in my education. I wasn't confident in making money. I wasn't confident in anything. And then I started understanding this. And one thing my mentor said, he said, self-confidence comes from your ability to execute and keep your words that you say to yourself and getting them done. And that comes through preparation. And I remember hearing that and I said, damn. Like, that's so powerful. And I remember I used to play instrument. I was in percussion. And I remember in like middle school, they would have these log sheets where you're supposed to write down how many hours you practice, right? And I remember I would lie. I remember I would write like, dude, I practiced 2 hours, right? And I would do this, and I'd only practice like 30 minutes, or maybe I didn't practice at all, and I'd write down I practiced 45 minutes. And I would have this bad-ass log sheet of it looked like I was like this hardcore practicer. I'm loving the instrument, and I sucked, right? And it got to a point where my instructor's like, dude, either you really suck at practicing or you're lying. And I'm just like, dude, yeah, like that's true. But the reason I say that is because I didn't have confidence in myself because I would lie to myself. I would lie to myself. And so you have to, number one, understand that winners have self-awareness, period. And the reason winners are so self-aware is because once they understand that, they have so much confidence that they're willing to take personal responsibility for their actions because they know that regardless, their personal actions, they can make a difference. But here's the thing. When you don't have self-confidence in yourself, you lie to yourself, it's easy to point fingers at other people, right? Because you can, like, when you're not self-confident about yourself and things are not happening well, it's so easy to blame others. Oh, this is the reason I'm not doing well. But when you're a winner and you're so confident in yourself and you have self-awareness, no matter what circumstance happens in your life, it doesn't freaking matter because you know that you have the ability to change your circumstance because you have so much confidence in yourself. And so how you raise that is your ability to prepare. And your ability to execute the things that you say you're going to do to yourself, not to anybody else. If you're telling yourself, hey, I'm going to get in shape, don't be posting it on Instagram. Don't be posting it on your Facebook. Just go freaking do it. Do it for yourself. See, we live in such a fictitious world with social media. I love social media because we can build a business online and do all this. But like I said, 90% of the crap you see on social media, it's not even really happening in people's life. Like there's this girl I've been, that's a friend of my girlfriend, and I see her, and she's been posting the same workout crap for the last 2 years. It's provocative. It's like her abs and it's this, and she's always doing that and doing the poses and the angles, and she's talking about gains and all this stuff. And my girlfriend hangs out with her, and my girlfriend's always like, dude, she's like always eating sweets. She's always doing this, but on her Instagram, she's always like meal prepping. She's always doing this, she's always in the gym, right? And she's never hitting it hard in the gym. She's always like on her phone. And I look at that and I say, how many people are like that? Because we are so fulfilled by the acceptance of others that we lie to ourselves just to be able to highlight what we think is right to others to be able to get their acceptance. See, self-confidence, guys, comes from you being true to yourself and executing on the crap that you say you tell yourself you're going to do. If you tell yourself today you were going to take out the trash, take out the trash. If you told yourself today you weren't going to eat that crap, don't eat that crap. And as you do this consistently, you will become more confident in yourself. So that's the first way to raise that self-confidence in yourself, is through preparation. The second way to raise that self-confidence in yourself is association. See, in life, if my thermostat was a 70, if I hang out with people whose thermostat is a 90, naturally their natural heat is going to raise mine. Now, here's the thing about that. It has to be relevant within 10 to 20 degrees, meaning that if you make $50,000 a year and you just start hanging out with someone that makes $1 million a year every single day, although you think that might be credible and might raise your temperature, the truth is you won't even fathom the fact that it's real, that you don't even think that you can achieve $1 million, and it's just going to be a deterrent more so than an association. Right? You're going to hang out and you're going to be high on this life. Yeah, I'm hanging out with a millionaire, but you're not going to really, it's so far of a gap that you're not really going to believe that you're going to get there. So I always in my life, if I'm at a hurdle, right? Like in my fitness game, or if I'm in a hurdle in my business game, yes, you want to have an end in mind of who you can associate on a much higher level, but it needs to be in relevance. So right now, like my fitness game, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty healthy. I do some crazy stuff, American Ninja Warrior, but I'm not like that next level. But I'm not wanting to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. So what I've done is I've gotten a personal trainer that's really lean, really cut, so he can coach me and mentor me so I can hang out with him in association and raise my natural thermostat. So the same thing in business. That's why events are so powerful. That's why ILA convention is so powerful. That's why these webinars are so powerful, because through association, and consistency of association, you can raise your natural thermostat. Does that make sense? And so it's so important to be aware of your surroundings. And another thing it's so important to is to remove the people that would bring your natural temperature down. It doesn't mean that they're bad people, okay? I have a cousin whose thermostat is probably a 30, truth to be. I love him unconditionally. We don't even talk to each other because we had such a big falling out. But I would take a bullet for him because he's like my cousin. I love him to death. But I had to limit my association with him. Why? Is because whenever I'm around him, he blames everything. He moved to California. He was originally from Texas. He would talk about, and then he had to move back to Texas because it was expensive in California. And then he would always talk about, man, Texas people are like this. Oh, in California, this is that. And then Texas is so much worse. And Texas, you know, and he would talk so negative of Texas. I'm like, dude, if you don't like Texas, go back to California. And then in California, I hear him doing the same thing. And I'm just like, dude, wherever he is, he's got something to blame, fingers to point, right? And so by association, you can raise that. And so as you raise your self-confidence, as you become more self-aware and responsible for your actions and your own accountability, then that is going to make you believe your why so much better. And as you believe your why so much stronger and so much more powerful, the ability to take action based on that why, it's a direct correlation. And I remember coming in the industry, like I told you, I didn't believe in my why. I wrote it down, but it didn't really sink in until I had my confidence going up by personal development, by association, by holding my, accountability with myself. And that's the third thing to be able to raise your self-confidence. And we're going to move on is personal development. Okay. Personal development, what you feed your mind, what you're reading, what you're listening to. If you don't think that has an impact on your life, you are crazy. As we get older, we get stupider. Okay. And here's why. When you are young, and I see this because my niece is 15 months old right now, and the exponential growth that she is having is purely based on what we feed her. Not food, but I mean like what she's reading, what we tell her, the language that we have. And so when you're a kid, this is so evident and apparent that what we put in, what the environment that we create is what we absorb and what we regurgitate. But as an adult, we have so much opinions for ourselves and we have this own thought and this ego that we don't believe we can be like, oh yeah, I'm watching the news every day, negative, or Game of Thrones or Netflix every day. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And you start lying to yourself so much that you don't think it's having an impact. See, you have to have that awareness to look at it in a very simple way. I'm nerdy, and I know we got some nerds here. I know Casey's kind of nerdy, right? The analogy I use is like, imagine trying to run Windows 98 today in today's society. If you don't know what Windows 98, maybe you know like Windows XP or maybe like Windows, 6 or something, right? Or imagine running the old iOS from iPhone 4 on your iPhone 10. It wouldn't work. But some of us, that's how our life is. We are literally operating in today's life with crap that we have learned 10 years ago. And that's the problem in the educational system, is that today, because technology and information is so readily available, by the time you learn something 2 years from today, it becomes obsolete. And so we have to understand as people, we have to be consistently improving, consistently feeding your mind. And so some things that you could write down: I hate reading. I suck at reading, but I also hate being broke. So I picked the lesser of the evils. Okay. So I started reading. Okay. But because technology is so powerful today, I don't even read. I don't read. I listen to audiobooks purely. I buy books to put them in my library. So when you walk into my library, you feel smarter. Okay. But I haven't read all the books. Okay. But I listen to podcasts. And here's some people you can listen to for podcasts. Ed Mylett, Edmylett, powerful, big sports coach, worth $200 million net worth, started his career in network marketing, believe it or not, in the financial industry through World Financial Group, okay? Another guy you can listen to is Grant Cardone, okay? Big real estate mogul, powerful, okay? Another guy you can listen to is Andy Frisella, Andy Frisella, Friscilla. Okay. That's enough. Okay. If you listen to those people, you'll go and find more people that you want and you can listen to. But, you know, some people are like, man, give me more people. Give me more people. I can give you more people. The truth is you're not going to listen to all of them. So it's pointless. Start with 3 and then you'll get to more. Okay. So once again, that's what I want you to identify, your why. Okay. Why are you doing this business? Why do you want to make it work? Okay. And then you got to understand and you got to raise your self-confidence so you can actually believe that why. Okay. Now moving in, because we have 20 minutes. Now I want to go into fundamentals. Okay. If you're new or if you're not new and you've been in the business a long time, here's what you want to do right now. You want to go back to the basics. Fundamentals are everything. In sports, when players are off, okay, when you talk to professional athletes that go and pay lots of money to coaches to be able to get them in a better mental state of mind to be able to elevate their game, here's what they will always tell you. They will always tell you that the coach will go back to the fundamentals. Why? Because if the fundamentals are rock solid, it elevates every area of your game. And so in our business, in Kyani, our fundamental is this, your list. That is the number one fundamental you need to have. Do you have a contact list? Okay? And I don't mean you pull up your phone and you're like, yeah, I have contacts. No. In business, we could all agree that every business, a successful business, knows their numbers. Would you all agree on that? Right? Do you believe that Apple knows how much revenue, how much profit, P&L, profit and loss that they have? Do you think they know how much inventory they're manufacturing, all this stuff? Absolutely. You take a high quality restaurant and a crappy restaurant, I'll tell you the big difference is the management of understanding their numbers. A crappy restaurant will not understand their inventory to the T. They won't understand their profit and losses to a T. A highly successful restaurant will have that all to a T. They'll know exactly when inventory runs out, how to replenish it. They'll know exactly how much money is coming through the door, through every hour, through every cent. A crappy business might only measure their numbers maybe once, every other day or every 5 days. Okay, so your contact list is the first thing that you want to have. So you want to have it in a notebook. You want to have it on a Excel spreadsheet if that's how you operate, if you're electronically. And it needs to be a never-ending list. And here's what people, when I came up in the industry, I'm like, dude, I got to have a list. This is hard. I got to be working this business every day. Yes. What business do you think you're not going to work every day? And if you don't believe contacts are important, someone just in the chat, type of business, any business, any industry, and I'll tell you how it's relevant to our business. Type any industry, what restaurant, real estate, whatever. Just start typing some businesses that you're thinking of, and here's how I'll correlate it. In our business, our list of contacts is everything. The bigger the list, the more money you're going to make. And so it's never ending. Why? Because if you're going out there and you're meeting people, how easy it is to get their contact and put them on a list. If you're on Facebook and you have people start messaging you, how easy is it to get their name and put it on a list, right? Someone said Amazon. Okay, here's a perfect example. When you sign up for Amazon, you have to put your email and you got to create a password. Every sign up they have is their list. Why? Because then what do? They retarget you with email, and they literally touch you every single, once a month, right? That's their list. Amazon's list is when you signed up to become a member, you got added to their freaking contact list. And their list is massive. That's why they're one of the most successful businesses in the world today. Okay? Also, look at restaurants. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and they try to get you to sign up for a rewards program or get you to, hey, if you sign and put your email here, we're going to give you 10% discount or we're going to give you this? Why did they do that? Because they're adding you to their list. Because then once they have that list, they find a way to retouch, to be able to pique your interest, to build some rapport, right? They do it very non-personal because they're a different scale of business, right? But maybe they send you a discount on your birthday, right? Or maybe they send you a discount once a month to your email, right? So in our business, our list is everything. So you want to have a physical list and you want to be adding to that list every single day. And you want to do it based on the contacts you have from your phone, the contacts that you have from Facebook, okay? Now, what you do with that list now is everything. Every single day, you need to make a commitment in your own sense that you can commit to. How many people per day are you willing to do these three things? These are the three fundamentals. Build rapport, okay? Pique their interest, and then pass and edify, or edify and pass them over. Edify is raising the value for who it is that you're going to introduce them to. Those are the only three things that you need to be doing every day when you're brand new, or every day when you're trying to get your business going. And if you put that in perspective, like, everybody has probably had a job in their life. And it's so funny, we can go to a 9 to 5, we can be forced to go through and read this training, or I'll give you an example. My first job was Corner Bakery at 16 years old. And I remember I got the job, and the first thing they wanted me to do was memorize the freaking menu. Okay? And I'm like, dude, this is hard. Like, there's a lot of crap and a lot of different, cookies and all this stuff, but I did it. And then when we get into something like network marketing, they say, oh, okay, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to write a list, and then you got to build rapport, and you got to pique their interest, and you got to edify and pass them over every day, right? And we look at that, we're like, oh, this is hard. Dude, that's so easy in relevance to the opportunity you have at hand. You can make millions and millions of dollars but just by doing this. So let's go more in depth. Rapport is the concept of reaching out and having conversations with people on an intimate level. So what I tell people is a good mental note, because this is a skill. And it's so funny to me that in school, we never learn. Isn't it funny in school, you never learn how to communicate and interact with people? I think it's the stupidest thing ever. Like, in school, they don't teach you how to go and like say hi to someone. They don't teach you, and it's funny because now my niece is young and I'm like teaching her. I'm like, dude, no matter what, Claire, when you meet someone, you hold out your hand and you say, my name is Claire, and you do it with confidence. And if you do that, you're going to make all the friends, and she just, and then when I'm like, you just do all these gestures. So one thing when you're building rapport to keep in mind as a mental note is to, this is the acronym that I would use is, wow, I'm losing this right now. I'm trying to think. I totally lost this. And I just had a thought. If anybody can know where I'm going, it's a 4-letter acronym. And geez, why can I not think of this right now? I just got so intense. Forming. Thank you. Gosh, Karen, you're over this. You are on top. Obviously, she's been through it. So it's form. F-O-R-M. I don't know how I missed that one. I'm so sad we're recording that, because that's going to make me look stupid. But hey, if I can get the diamond and not know form just like that, then reference your notes. So form, F-O-R-M, acronym. Here's what it stands for: family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. So or money, right? When you're talking and you're reaching out to people and you're building rapport, especially with people you haven't talked to in 3 to 5 years, this is a fundamental skill. And this is what happens. We procrastinate. There's an event that comes up. We start trying to make invitations to get them to a webinar or get them on an event, but we haven't built any rapport, and then they don't do it, and we think, oh man, it didn't work. No, it would have worked if you would have built the rapport 2 weeks ago, so when this event would come, you would already be prepared, and then that way when you did the invitation, it would have been that much more effective. But here's what we're trying to do. It's like going into your first date and going in for the kill, okay? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey girl, we're just I'm showing up to the door naked, okay? It's not how it works. You got to build rapport. You got to go on the dates. You got to be interested, okay? That's how some of you guys are in your invitations. You guys are reaching out to people you haven't talked to in 3 years, and you're showing up to the door naked. You're just like, hey, here's my opportunity, No, you've got to go. You've got to build. So you got to ask them how they're doing. Hey, man, I know it's been a long time. I wanted to connect with you. How you been? Right? What are you up to these days? What are you doing for work? And as you start peeking these little areas, they will give you hot buttons on how you can be aware of why Kyani can be beneficial for them. I would say 7 out of 10 times when I ask someone what are they doing for work, and they tell me and I say, how's it going? 7 out of 10 times they say, it's a job, pays my bills. That's typically the response. And then I'm like, oh, perfect. I don't hit them right away, right? I'm like, oh, they tell me they hate their job. Well, dude, I got this amazing opportunity. I mean, no. I keep that in my mental note. And then the next day I say, hey, listen, or maybe 2 days later, I say, hey, listen, when you told me you didn't like your job, it just brought something to my attention. I've recently been involved in a business where I've been able to generate extra income outside of my job. And I think it's something that will get me away from something that I hate. And I wanted to see if you'd be open to taking a look at it. I'm working with someone very successful that has showed me a way to be able to make money using this system around my job, and I would love to introduce you to him or to her so they can tell you a little more about it. How the hell is that person that told you they hate their job and they're not happy going to say no to that? You know what I mean? Like, it's ninja tricks, and you got to have this awareness. And that's why getting on these webinars is so important, because it builds your awareness, it builds your arsenal, it teaches you how to be aware of these things. And I remember when I was young and I was in network marketing, I didn't understand that. I was just hitting up, showing naked up to the door to everybody. It's like, dude, I got this business. You got to check it out. Oh, I got this way to make all this money. It's awesome. I got this product. It's amazing, right? And it wasn't working. So forming is that. And next thing, you know, family, how's their family doing? If you have that relationship, recreation, hey, what have you been up to? Man, sounds great. You know, what do you like to do for fun? You have any new hobbies that you're taking advantage of, right? I always like to ask, hey, are you doing any hobbies, right? And I always throw things. I'd be like, yeah, man, you know, I was bored with life. I started doing American Ninja Warrior, right? Throwing a fish hook out there. I'm like, yeah, I started doing CrossFit. I'm like, bingo, CrossFit. Okay, something physically activity. 2 days later, 3 days later, hey, John, I remember when you told me you were doing CrossFit. Hey, I respect that. It's so intense. It's so hardcore. I wanted to see if you'd be open to a health product that could potentially increase your performance. I've been involved in a business that I got introduced to that has an amazing product that shows blah, 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 right? And then I just got to toss it out there. And now I'm connecting bridges because I have reasons on why the product or the opportunity is in relation to what they're saying. Does that make sense? Okay, so Sherry asks, F can also be from. Yeah, that's a great one, right? So if you're doing internet marketing, right, and we don't know who the hell we're talking to sometimes, hey, where are you from? How long have you been there? Oh, 3 years, right? Then you just know how to naturally gear. If someone says within a 5-year window, I say, well, where were you before that? Oh, what made you move there? Right? And then they're like, oh, I moved here because of work. Oh, what do you do for work? Right? And you just learn these conversations naturally, and then you're building your ammunition. And imagine if you're doing this every day for 30 to 60 days, how much value you will have about people, to where now when you're going to show them the opportunity, it's easy. Does that make sense? When I right before this, I pitched a guy who's meeting Mark Davenport and James Bradford at 3 p.m. this Monday, who I met at GrowthCon at a nightclub. I had a conversation with him, and he happened to be from Houston. He's an internet marketer, built a 7-figure business doing a Shopify store. And I said, perfect, man. I want to get your contact number. I'm doing e-com business. I want to learn from you. And I just called him just before this. And I said, hey, dude. I said, man, when we connected, you're a successful entrepreneur. You're from Houston. I said, I love connecting with people that are entrepreneurs. And because you are successful in the internet marketing realm, I've got this business that I'm doing on the side. And I said, hey, I don't know if you'd be open to it, but here's what it is. It's network marketing. It's a company called Kyani. It's in the health and wellness industry. And I would love to introduce you to the individuals that have been mentoring me. One of them has made $6 million in the last 3 years, and his mentor has personally coached 100 millionaires over the course of his life. And they're going to be coming into town on Monday just to sit down with people that are successful in business. Would you be open to that? And he was like, yeah, dude, boom, easy, effortless. But 5 years ago, 7 years ago, good luck me doing that. It wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have had the skills. I wouldn't have practiced the craft. Okay. So that's how you build rapport. Does that make sense? Okay. Piquing interest. Okay. Piquing interest. Here's the things you want to highlight. Okay. Piquing interest is not to give them everything. The bullet points that you want to highlight are the ability to earn extra income outside of what you're doing. Okay. But wording it and having all the different ways to word that. Number 2, building a business through online, through social media, right? Like Facebook, things like that. Number 3 is we are the health and wellness industry. Okay. I say health and wellness. Some people say health and beauty, right? I think if you're a girl, you can do that. As a guy, I wouldn't do that. That's just me. Maybe if I was on the left side as a guy, maybe, but that's not me. So health and wellness, right? I'm in the health and wellness industry. And I'm working with someone very successful, right? Don't make it about you. Make it about who you're working with, because people know you. And if you're not already uber successful, you can't, come in there like, dude, I got this awesome business and I've got this ability to make all this part-time income. And they're like, dude, you're a stay-at-home mom. I know you don't make money at home. What are you talking about? Right? So if you learn how to edify who it is you're working with, and you say, listen, and you built the rapport. Hey, I remember when you told me you didn't like your job. Well, hey, I just want to tell you something. I've been working this business with a very successful individual who has shown me a way to be able to make part-time income online through the health and wellness industry. I would love to get a chance to introduce you to them so they can show you what this is all about, right? And that's the piquing their interest, finding out why. Are you open to making extra money, right? Are you open to, better quality of life with health, right? Are you open to making money on your, laptop, blah, 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 right? And then you pass them and edify, right? Hey, I would love to introduce you to who it is that I'm working with, this individual. And here's the thing. Even if you're working with someone that hasn't made six figures, even if you're working with someone that hasn't made a lot of money in Kyani, but they're helping you and they're a potential leader, you don't have to lie. You just have to say, hey, I would love to introduce you to a business partner of mine who is literally a great leader, who's easy to talk to, who can share with you more about what it is that we're doing. But if you have connections like with me and you know Casey, then you can use a little more high level type of edification, right? But if you don't, you can literally say, and I would do this. I do this with my own downlines, my own team members. I have people that are rubies in my team or that are sapphires. And I'm recruiting, and I'll pass them over to someone because they're relatable to their story. Like I have a Ruby in Dallas, Texas that's a leasing agent, right? So if I run into leasing agents or people that are in real estate, I edify him, even though he's recruiting for me. It's my person. I edify him. He's just using that leverage because people listen differently when you are talking about someone else. They listen with a different set of ears, okay? So those are the things that I wanted to cover today in this power hour. Was obviously your why, building your self-confidence to be able to believe in that why, and then having your basic fundamental, your list, and then making sure on those every single day, the three things that you're focused on attacking that list, right? Which is building rapport, piquing their interest, and passing and edifying it over. And then there's another sequence that follows that, but because this is just 1 hour jam-packed, and this is why we're going to do it 3 times a week, it's so important you to stay engaged, stay involved, stay engaged, take notes, and continue to, and apply, and go over and review, okay? So with that, because we have 3 minutes left, does anybody have any questions? Did you guys get good value? Hopefully, if you did, give me a thumbs up. Awesome, I appreciate that, and I'm so excited to be doing this. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than happy to unmute yourself, ask questions. This will end in 3 minutes. For time's sake, I don't want to, disrespect anybody's time, but I will be here to answer more questions after the fact if anybody wants to stay around.
So Spencer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when they come on Monday, do we have to make an appointment to have our prospect to meet with James and Mark?
Yes. So message me because it's only sit-down appointments. It's not an event, and they're doing it basically for more high-level prospects. People that business owners, people that if it's somebody that's just someone you cold market and you met, I will sit down with them. I'm not going to put them in front of them. But yes, if you have high-level prospects, pretty much Monday and Sunday evening they'll be available. But just get with me and I'm go ahead and book that appointment for you.
Okay, got it.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody other questions? Like I said, get the courage to ask. I think that's I only say this from personal experience because I had to train myself to get good at that. And there's a book by John C. Maxwell that talks about how to ask questions. He says the most effective leaders ask the best questions. And I think that's so true. And I like I said, I was the guy that would be shy. Like, oh, I'm scared. What are people going to think? Right? Frisella. Let me write that. Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Anybody, any other questions? All right. Jill, yes. You are muted.
We'll see if I can figure out how to work this technology. Can you just tell me how to, when we get people and it's just kind of clarify which calls do we recommend people to listen to? I've got like all these calls written down and I'm not sure which ones you send people to, which ones are for us, which ones are for potential people, or which ones are for new distributors, or
No, great
I'm getting
question.
lost in which calls would go to what.
Yeah, and I'll take the blame for that. So Jill fell in my organization, and she's all the way in Montana. And so you guys know Jill last month got 10 customers all on her own. And, she's smashing it right now. I think she's pretty much finished the power play too. And I've only had one launch webinar with Jill, and that was like 3 weeks ago. And so she's done this all independently. And so that's just the beauty of this business. So I just wanted to introduce you, Jill. So to answer that question, right, because it's a great question, so in myself, Tuesday and Thursday, I have been doing, obviously, as you know, a webinar presentation. That's something that I want to continue to do, but always ask me, because it's not something that I'm just saying, hey, every Tuesday and Thursday I'm going to be doing it at 8 p.m. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to start having other leaders try to integrate with me. So for you, everything that you need to be doing is, I'm going to be your leader. You just want to pass them and edify me, and I'll do all your calls. I'm going to do your 3-ways. I'm going to do your presentations. I'm going to do all that. So those are, going to be the things that I control, that I do. But the Monday and the Thursday, the power hour from 9 to 10 p.m., that's only for business partners. And then obviously Saturday morning, 10 to 11 is only for business partners. Okay. And then outside of that, every now and then I will throw out, and I try to be, very structured about how I put it out so it's not last minute, but we always have leaders in Team Fusion that are saying like, hey, I'm going to do a webinar on this day and this time, and I'll always try to forward those to you. And so when you see like the term DFY stands for done for you, which is just our system name. And so if we have a DFY presentation, that means it's going to be an opportunity presentation, which means you can invite anybody to take a look at that. But for you at the beginning, because there's no jade, pearl, sapphire, anything really in between us, then I'm going to be doing all your 3-ways. So all you got to do is, like I said, don't hesitate. Text me and just say, hey, are you available? Like, I love that stuff. A lot of people get nervous, like, trying to reach out to their top leader, and they're like, I don't know. But in this situation and other situations, for those just as reference, you have leaders in between you. Maybe you have a pearl, you have a sapphire, things like that. So you would communicate to those people first. Like if you're brand new on this, you're not just going to call Casey Salgy to do your 3-way. Okay. You're going to call whoever is, your jade, your pearl, or your leader in between. But in Jill's situation, because there's no any of leaders between us, I'm just going to play the role for everything for you. So, I'm going to do that. So if you ever have it where you're like, hey, I got so-and-so, and I'm going to teach you this more in depth. And that's another thing we'll probably cover another power hour, is the RP3 ATF system, which is and everybody can write this down if you don't know. RP3 stands for Rapport, Pique, like PIQUE, and 3-way. Okay. And so it's that same fundamental concept I talked about. You build rapport with somebody, you pique their interest, and then you get them on a 3-way messenger. It could be with me on Facebook, or it could be a 3-way phone call with me. And so, once again, if you built that rapport, you pique their interest and they're open to talking to me. And if it's online, because I know you're getting people that you're meeting on Facebook, you could literally combine us in a 3-way messenger on Facebook. And then I'll teach you what to say and how to tee it up. You don't just combine us. It's kind of like combine us in a 3-way messenger. You say, hey, Mr. Spencer Nguyen, this is Bob. I met Bob, or I know Bob from this, this, and this. And, I shared with him this about our company. And Bob, this is Spencer. Spencer is a diamond in our company. He's one of the leaders I'm personally working with. And he's made, a multiple 6-figure income just in the last 2 years building this business online around his schedule. And I would love to get you guys introduced so he can tell you a little more about it. Does that make sense? But outside of that, you'll see like calls pop up. I know that, Team Fusion, we have a Monday call that's happening at night. And I'll just be honest with you guys, and this is not to downplay Team Fusion of any sense or anything of that nature, but what we're going to do is we're controlling the environment of this group, okay? And I truly believe through the power hours that we have and, the summit that Casey's running in my boot camp, that for the next 30 to 60 days, that is enough to be able to make sure that you get developed and you're learning the things that you're going to want to learn. And so that's the core focus of what you want to do. Now, if you want to plug into the Monday night calls, the Sunday leadership calls with Team Fusion as extra bread and butter, more than happy to do that. But I would say the focus of what you want to do right now in our group is to make sure that Monday and Thursday power hour 9 to 10, Saturday morning 10 to 11, those are the key. And then making a commitment if you want to be a part of our Casey's Summit, which is his, and then my Insanity Bootcamp, which will start Monday, March 12th. And that'll be 10 to 11 p.m. Central Time. So does that answer your question, Jill? Awesome. Great question. All right. Anybody else? Don't be scared. And by the way, you're more than happy to sign off. Okay. So I'm going to end the recording for time's sake. So that way, when we upload on the website, it's not over.